Hi folks, and welcome back to Meaningful Money. 3 more investing mistakes for you today. Okay, over the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at classic investing mistakes and how to avoid them. So today we've got numbers 7, 8, and 9. And number 7 is letting the tax tail wag the investment dog. What do I mean by that? Well, it's doing something for tax reasons which you wouldn't ordinarily be comfortable with that kind of investment. Here's an example. There is an investment called a venture capital trust. Really useful tax wrapper, super tax efficient, but the underlying investments are usually fairly high risk. So if you're a cautious investor with a tax problem, is it smart to invest in something which you're not comfortable with just to make the tax saving? Well, only you decide on whether you're happy with that or not. But too often I see people doing things for tax reasons which they wouldn't ordinarily be comfortable with. So how do you avoid letting the tax tail wag the investment dog? Well, people usually end up in this situation because they have failed to plan ahead. Maybe they've suddenly got a tax bill which they weren't expecting, but they probably could have expected had they planned carefully. So do your planning. Don't leave things to chance, and don't let tax issues get on top of you. Plan ahead, think ahead. Instruct a good accountant, instruct a good financial planner. They will justify their fees many times over with the tax saving that you're going to make. Classic investing mistake number 8 is coming over all emotional. Making money decisions based on emotional responses is always a bad idea. You see, money is a completely heartless thing. It doesn't care about you. It'll do what it wants to do. Markets will behave how they want to behave. Economies will do what they do, irrespective of how you feel about it. So mixing your emotions with big money decisions is usually a recipe for disaster. Problem is, we are emotional creatures. We are human. So how can you avoid making emotional human decisions when it comes to money? Well, you can't avoid it altogether, but by putting in place a kind of structure for decision making, you can give yourself a fighting chance. So for example, you might say, I'm never going to make a decision in the evening after a long week at work. Instead, I'm going to do it in the cold light of day on a Saturday morning when I'm feeling fresh and alert. Maybe I've been to the gym, endorphins are pumping, I've got positive emotions running through my body. That's a good time to make financial decisions. You might say, if you're in a couple, we will only make financial decisions together and not one of us making the decision on the spur of the moment. You might say, I will always sleep on a decision for 24 hours, 24 hours before I actually push the button on any decision. Putting these structures in place gives you a chance of making a considered decision rather than a purely emotional one. And finally, you should channel your emotions into the planning of your finances rather than the individual day-to-day decisions. Putting your emotions into those long-term plans and really engaging with them will help you make financial decisions in light of that bigger picture rather than short-term concerns. And our last classic investing mistake is not having a plan for investing at all. And this is kind of the granddaddy of them all. It informs all the others. So maybe you investing for its own sake. Maybe you take out life insurance because you think you probably should. You collect policies and plans over the years with no coherent sort of process or thought process for doing so. What you end up is chaotic finances. You're probably being overcharged. There's no strategy towards your investment. Your financial portfolio will be drifting, which is never ever a good thing. So how do you avoid not having a plan? Well, unsurprisingly, the answer is to have a plan. So either engage with a certified or chartered financial planner, somebody who knows what they're doing, somebody with some experience who can help you, or sit down and take a day, maybe even 2 days, to do this stuff yourself. Ask yourself what you want to do with your money and what your money to do for you. Sit down, write it down, and think about how you might get from where you are now to where you want to be. It's not a straightforward process. Sometimes the maths can be pretty tricky, but it is all doable, and there are plenty of resources on Meaningful Money to help you do that yourself. So that's 9 investing mistakes over the last 3 weeks. Hope that they have been useful, and I wonder how many of them you've made. Perhaps leave me a comment, but keep checking back on the website because there's tons of stuff to help you avoid making these mistakes in future. Thanks for watching.